Next is the kind of story that makes your eyeballs kind of pop out of their sockets because it's just so silly and unbelievable. Be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get started with this. The story is capture of Pokrovsk to undermine combat capabilities of the Russian army, says the Institute of Study of Warfare. This is out of RBC, Ukraine. And this is one of them articles that just, it's maddening. It's maddening. Once again, you're being told, do not believe what your eyes are telling you. Russian troops gain tactical advantage south of Pokrovsk. However, the army is suffering very heavy losses, which undermines the potential of the Russian army to conduct further offensive operations, reports the American Institute for the Study of Warfare, which is a very reputable institute that does good work. However, through the Ukraine war, they have accepted the Ukraine word as gold. And as we have found out, the Ukrainians are less than honest. They're about as honest as the Russians are. So there you go. They're both as honest as the day is short. But they go on to discuss the losses of the Russian army. And I'll bring this up quickly, because I did actually find the study that this is quoted out of, and it's not what is claimed here. Another officer of the Ukrainian Armed Forces Brigade said in 2 weeks, Russian troops lost almost 3,000 people in the Pokrovsk direction. ISW is convinced that continuing losses of this magnitude will lead to increased costs of the already overburdened Russian army. The Russian army is taking heavy losses. The traditional counting, when you look at these numbers, is that you divide it by 2/3. It's probably closer to 1,000 people in 2 weeks. That's still a lot. But the issue is that the loss of Pokrovsk is one of the most strategic locations in all of Ukraine. It is absolutely one of the most strategic locations in all of Ukraine. Pokrovsk is the hub. It's the center of all the roads and rail networks in that area. Everything leads to and from Pokrovsk. And I'll bring it up quickly on the map. I'm just getting to it right now. But its loss will be a huge loss. I don't know if it's going to be as big of a loss as it was before now, because it's been surrounded for a long time now. It's been under attack for a long time. So this is Pokrovsk. Right here. As you can see, every major road goes into Pokrovsk. Every rail network also goes into Pokrovsk. It is the central hub, and it has been the central hub for the southeastern portion of the Ukrainian war effort now since the war began. It was the key to Donetsk. All these areas have been fed, and you can see it is the center of the spoke. Its loss will be incredibly, incredibly bad for the Ukrainian army. For this article to say that this will hinder the Russian army is another one of these, it makes your eyes pop out of their sockets. This can only be considered a strategic catastrophe for the Ukrainian army and a major strategic victory for the Russian army. This is not something anyone wants. This is just how things are. And again, I found the actual study what that statement came out of. What it is, and I will bring it up for you to see, and I will, of course, link it into the description. This is the Ukrainian defense of Pokrovsk has compelled Russia to change its approach in eastern Ukraine. What it's done, it's forced them, instead of doing a frontal attack on Pokrovsk, because for September and October, basically it was a headlong rush for the Russian army. They were collapsing left and right. The Ukrainians were, all the way to Pokrovsk. What they ended up doing is transferring a lot of troops from different sectors to stop the Russian onslaught. Had they not done that, Pokrovsk would have fallen on the march to the Russians. Now it has to be encircled, and that's what this article goes into, is that the Ukrainian transfers and their defense of that area has compelled the Russians to use different tactics to strategically encircle the city from multiple directions, specifically currently the south, to encircle the city before trying to invest it. Its defeat now, will it be as major as it was a couple of months ago? Probably not. Logistics centers have changed. They've moved. That said, its loss will be, for morale purposes, it's going to be major. It's going to be incredible. It will, of course, be a logistical headache because you do have to move things around, but that movement has probably already happened. The defense itself it's very costly. It's costing a lot of Ukrainian troops, and yes, a lot of Russian troops. As many as they're saying, highly doubted. Highly doubted. As few as the Russians claim, highly doubted. Highly doubted. Using the 1/3 rule, and this rule is a very rough estimate, but it really does work. Going all the way back, as many wars as you can count, when you have one side estimating something, it's usually 1/3 of their estimate. And that goes both ways. The Russians estimate they've killed 1 million Ukrainians. Doubt it. Come on, be real. So, the point being that, again, we're being told, don't believe your eyes. The Russians make continual advances, and we are told the loss of a major logistical and command and control hub for the Ukrainians will be a loss for the Russians. This is silly. Only somebody who is not paying attention to truth and facts would believe something like that. Is it costly? Yeah, but you know what? The Russians have 100 million people to spare. The Ukrainians are running out. Peace is your answer. Donald Trump. We need some answers. That's why they're pushing so hard for Pokrovsk. They know they need it in a peace deal. That's why the Russians are pushing hard for it. And they're suffering hard for it. Not to the extent we're being told, but they are. That's all I got. I appreciate you, and I thank you.